All right, back to you.
Welcome. Good afternoon. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
We're all good? Good afternoon and welcome. Bonjour et bienvenue to the UK and France round of the She Loves Tech Global Women in Tech Startup Competition. Now, it's the third time this competition has taken place in France and the very first time here in the UK. So rather exciting to be part of this inaugural UK Startup round. My name is Myla Reeves, and I'm delighted to be your host for the next 2 or so hours as we hear some fantastic startups pitching to our experienced VCs. Now, we're here today to celebrate the role of women in tech startups. And doom and gloom aside, because let's be honest, it's been a challenging year personally and professionally. But what a year 2020 has turned out to be for an entrepreneur in the digital space. According to startups.co.uk, there has been a 60% increase in new digital businesses being founded this year compared to 2019. During April alone, 5 new businesses were founded every day. The pandemic has brought about exponential changes to how we live and work at a pace that we would never have thought possible this time last year. Accelerated digitization, uncertainty in the labor market, and the autonomy of working from home all have clearly been the motivation that some people have needed to start that new venture. Our She Loves Tech mission is making sure that women are at the heart of this revolution to drive significant impact for a better world. Now, to give you a little steer as to the agenda for this afternoon, over the next 20 minutes, I'll be talking to our esteemed judges to hear a little about them, as well as to get their perspectives. Now, I'd love to pose your questions to them too, so please do pop your questions in the chat box or on the Facebook group page. Thereafter, we'll jump straight in to hear those pitches you've been waiting for. We have 9 today, and they will have 10 minutes each. The first 2 minutes will be them verbally introducing themselves, followed by a 5-minute video and then a 3-minute Q&A. After hearing all 9, we'll then let the judges deliberate offline while you get to ask the startups your questions, and then we finally see who are the winners of the UK and France round. Before we do that, it gives me great pleasure, however, to hand over to Rhea C, co-founder of She Loves Tech, to tell us more about the She Loves Tech worthy mission and vision. Over to you, Rhea.
Thank you so much, Myla. Hi, everyone. My name's Rhea, and I'm the co-founder of She Loves Tech. Before anything, I'd like to congratulate the startups who have been selected today, and as well as thank everyone, our judges, hosts, partners for supporting today's round. So far, we've already been through 30+ rounds in this year's competition, and today's actually the third to the last before we move on to the global semifinals. So I'm definitely very excited to find out who will be representing UK and France at the global competition. So before anything, who are we? What is She Loves Tech? She Loves Tech is the world's largest startup competition for women in technology. Since 2015, we have been championing the best entrepreneurs and technologies through education and mentorship, working closely with our partners to solve the funding gap for women, because we believe that this combination is key to solving the world's greatest challenges. Unfortunately, as Myla's sort of given us an intro already, women remains to be one of the world's biggest untapped resource. Just by sheer volume alone, women comprises at least half of the world's population. Moreover, it is statistically, shown that in communities and professional roles, women's perspectives, skills, and experiences, diversity bring important value. But in spite of these reasons, multiple barriers prevent women from participating in a lot of industries. That is half of the world's worth of talent and ideas being ignored. In the technology industry, it's even worse, as only 14% of tech founders are women, and 2% of the VC investment goes to women. And in an industry as important as technology, without women's participation, everyone is put at a disadvantage. And ultimately, this is the reason why we have created She Loves Tech. To date, we are present in over 30 countries with 3,000 alumni startups, some of which have raised over $150 million. This year's competition is especially exciting for us, as not only are we hosting the competition across 6 continents, it's also our first time going completely virtual, making the entire program, including the upcoming bootcamp, semifinals, finals, and conference, which our winner today will be able to participate in, more global than ever. We will be curating sessions that will provide everyone involved a unique window to different ecosystems from all over the world, China, US, Europe, and more, as well as access to world-leading investors and tech leaders. So I hope everyone today can continue to follow and join us until the grand finals and global conference on November 21st and 22nd. Now, before I hand back the mic to our host, Myla, please allow me to share some clips to last year's finals and conference, which was held in Beijing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to She Loves Tech 2019. You are now a part of the largest women in tech startup competition in the world.
Over 80% of our 70,000 teachers are female, and I just feel fortunate that I'm working with them every day. Today, they are working on this innovative technology platform. The moms, now they feel so happy with this global teaching service that they're able to obtain on the VIP Kid platform.
在很多女性的创业者身上看到很多的闪光的地方，这是不是一个好的创业者？跟他其实是男性、女性没有关系，也不要去贴这样的标签。每个时代都会有自己的创业公司，只不过它用不同的形式在。其实今天需要你，不光是有自己一个 truly believe 的想法，有一个 vision， 你还得有 step by step， 每件事情都做到对的这样的一个执行力。
Back to you, Myla.
Thank you, Rhea. It's great to be part of the She Loves Tech community, and I'm delighted that now the UK is part of it. So now actually over to our esteemed judges. I'd like to ask each of you to say a few words, introducing yourselves, and then I'd like to circle back and pose a few questions. If we could start off with you, Elina.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be part of the judge panel today. So I'm one of the co-founders of a growth tech fund. We are Paris-based and we invest across Europe. The name of our fund is Gaia Capital. Actually, I co-founded the fund together with a female partner and friend of mine and former colleague. And we invest in companies that are already scale-ups. We invest across Europe, and we write check size from 10 million euros up to 30 million euros. And what we look for in terms of investments is companies that have obviously a potential to be a leader in their industry, but we believe that the tech leaders of tomorrow should also address either directly or indirectly sustainability issues. And so we try to combine both by making, no compromise on either profit or impact, but try to have both. And we're now a team of 12, and we have 3 portfolio companies, and we founded the fund a couple of years ago after, working for different private equity funds.
Thank you, Elina. Over to you, Raphaëlle.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to be part of the jury as well. I work at Aster as an investor. So we are also based in Paris, but we invest internationally. We invest in early stage companies across Europe, the US, and Israel. So as a venture capital investor, we start with tickets as early as 0.5 million euros. And we like specifically to support companies that transform the way people move around, manufacture, work together, how industries design and ship their goods. So it's a lot around mobility and industry 4.0, which is really not very diverse in terms of gender, but I've been working on that as I'm also co-founder of SISTA, which is in France an association aiming at bridging the funding gap between men and women entrepreneurs.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Raphaëlle. And now Emelie.
Hey everyone, happy to be here at the She Loves Tech and super excited about being a part of the judging committee. I'm working for the venture capital arm of the container shipping company called Maersk. So we're Maersk Growth. We've been around since 2018. We normally invest in quite early stage companies. So from Series C till early Series B, doing tickets of between $500,000 to $5 million. Being technically a CVC in that sense, we invest in spaces that are of interest to the Maersk group, which means that we look at pretty much anything that is in a space what we call adjacent to where Maersk is operating today. So we look a lot at supply chains, logistics, international trade, and anything and everything in relating to that. To date, we've done approximately 22 investments, and we have a global mandate. So we invest all over the world, but with a particular focus on Europe, Israel, and North America.
Wonderful, thank you. Rhea, would you like to say a few more words, or should we just go in and do this fireside chat and I can ask some questions to the judges?
I think I'm okay. I've already said enough.
Okay, never enough on this topic. Okay, so actually, Raphaëlle, I have a question for you. The tech agenda is currently dominated by COVID. This year, we have seen a huge focus on technology related to COVID, digital health, for example, e-commerce. Where else do you think budding technologists and entrepreneurs should be focusing their attention?
Indeed,
for Raphaëlle.
Yes, a lot of things happening in health tech and biotech, and which is something that we don't cover at Aster. So we feel there's a bit of frustration regarding that because we'd like to participate in the efforts against COVID, obviously. And I'm pretty sure Emelie will back that. There's so much to be done in supply chains right now. The global pandemic just stopped plants all around the world. And everything is so interconnected that the impacts on that were huge for obviously large companies, but also the more fragile ones, the smaller companies who have less cash and maybe some of them won't survive. So having more analytics and a more precise view of what's happening globally around the supplier network is definitely something that has had a lot of traction, I think, over the past few months, and we're monitoring it closely.
Fantastic, thank you, Raphaëlle. Emelie, so do you back that up? Do you want to follow?
I really do, yes, no, and I completely agree with Raphaëlle. No, it's definitely something that we've seen in terms of supply chain, where supply chain visibility and like visibility into your production has become it has gone from being something that was convenient and nice to have to something that you essentially must have to be able to run your business in a efficient way and look to the future and be able to assess the risks that are upcoming. So very much back that statement.
Elina, over to you. Do you see any other problems we need this community, our She Loves Tech community, and the wider community really to help fix?
Yeah, I guess overall, when I look at businesses that are founded by women, I feel like they take a much broader perspective on, what should be the impact of their businesses. So they have obviously their direct business model and the problem they're solving. but it feels like a lot of times they try to contribute indirectly through a number of nonprofit initiatives. And, you know, I think for businesses to manage better their externalities on society and the environment, we probably need more female founders and also more diverse workforce in management, so that companies have a more you know, holistic business model and holistic impact that is positive on society.
So moving on to the risk and opportunity of involving women in tech development. Obviously, She Loves Tech has been set up to promote women in startups. What do we think is the actual risk of not developing, or not involving women in tech development? Do we think it could be dangerous, for example? Rhea, would you like to comment on that?
Actually, I see, you know, involving women in tech collectively more of an opportunity than a risk, right? I mentioned it earlier. At this point, we've started She Loves Tech in 2015, right? In 2015, there weren't really a lot of organizations, you know, a lot of communities working in this space. 5 years forward, there's increasingly more, right? Whether it's VCs or communities, more and more people are talking about women in tech. And you know, you see an influx of supporters as well, whether they're big corporates or not. And unfortunately, at this stage, there's still a huge gap. And before we talk about risks, we really need to think about, you know, what are the risks in not involving women, right? Especially now, actually, you know, during the pandemic, we've touched upon, you know, some of the industries that are very crucial right now, needs development really to help us kind of cope with this new environment, as well as move past it. And what we realized during this period is that actually, you know, the industries and the startups that, you know, a lot of the startups that we've seen, at least that have like female founders, are actually the industries that are the crucial ones during this time, right? They're the ones that are really addressing the core needs that we otherwise have forgotten. You know, pre-COVID, everyone's always looking at like, let's say AI, like, you know, really like pioneering tech, and everyone just trying to find like the new shiny and blingy things, and, you know, really forgetting like what are the technologies that are really solving, you know, like I said, like the world's greatest challenges, or not even the greatest challenges, but the small challenge that we face day to day. And what we started to realize is that, or rather what other people have started to realize, that actually, hey, these are the industries that a lot of women are driving. And during this time, we've seen a lot of the startups who, you know, instead of not only, you know, surviving really the pandemic, but actually even thriving, right? Doubling, like tripling their valuations. We've seen like some of our, for example, our fintech startup in Indonesia, who have, you know, been tasked by the government to deliver aid to, you know, a lot of the impoverished like areas, to basically, let's say, you know, a voice AI technology in China who is dealing with mental health, right? There's many examples like this, but whether it's supply chain, fintech, like medtech, really, I think, you know, we really need to think about what are the risks in not involving, you know, more diverse groups, you know, not just women really, but, you know, especially women who are only getting 2% of the investment, right? And we've seen, you know, I think worse data during this time as well, which kind of just shows us that, you know, if we don't think about this more in the future, then all of us will be at a disadvantage.
Well, that's great. I mean, you mentioned women driving certain industries. That actually segues very nicely into my example. I bring up whether not involving women in tech development is dangerous because an example that I've read in a book called Invisible Women is where seatbelts, for example, were designed by men, ostensibly for men and women, but actually what they've discovered is that more women die them because they have not been designed for women. So Elina, I just wanted to think, do you think it is dangerous to not include women in tech development?
Yeah, I mean, you know, research has shown that typically in tech, so there are a lot of algorithms that you develop and automation. And when you don't have clear guidelines and also a diverse workforce working on, you know, those products, then you have some biases that are naturally incorporated in these. And, you know, as automation and AI takes over more of our processes, over time, we can see, you know, biases just being reinforced if you don't have enough gender diversity in the teams developing that. So this is one of one of the many risks that we could highlight, apart from, you know, having a number of industries that would be left behind in terms of tech development, because some industries are better known by women. If we think about femtech, there are a number of areas around fertility or whatever, childcare, that technically women know a bit more. And so if there are not more women joining the tech in general, there are entire spaces that would develop slowly, more slowly than others. So that would be a big opportunity cost. And beyond these two examples, I would say overall the challenges for female talent, whatever, you know, your background, if you're not part of this big tech wave that has been accelerated by COVID, it's just a massive part of the future economic growth that is not going to benefit female workers, whatever their training or their backgrounds. And that means, you know, fewer resources, and that means less independence for women in general. So this isn't, the tech space in general is a very big part of our economy, and it's only growing. And that would be really a massive societal cost if there's not more diversity there.
Great. Thank you so much for your perspective and all of your perspectives. I do believe that the startups are ready to pitch. Just to remind you, we have 9 startups, and I have been corrected. They are only allowed 8 minutes. So I'm sorry. I would have loved to have given you an extra 2 minutes each, but I'm not allowed, I'm afraid. Take it up with Rhea. But so are we ready to start off with the very first one? I believe we have Apo Tech Care about to pitch. Over to you guys. Gentle reminder to open up your camera. If I have mentioned you, please open up your camera and unmute yourself. And to your fellow startups, please, as a matter of respect, please mute yourselves whilst your fellow startup is pitching. So again, just calling for Apo Tech Care.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Celine. I'm from France. I've been working in the digital transformation for 10 years now, and I started my entrepreneurial adventure in 2020. I am very thankful for being given the opportunity today to take part in the She Loves Tech challenge with Apo. Apo is the companion to win over migraine. It's been made by patients and doctors. So let me share my screen so that you can actually follow. Yeah, here it is. So before digging into the how and why of Apo, let me tell you a few things about migraine, because I don't know about you, but before I was diagnosed as a migraine sufferer, I knew nothing about this disease. Migraine is actually a debilitating neurological chronic disease. It is ranked second disease causing years with handicap, and it's impacting 1 billion people worldwide, 2/3 of whom are women. Migraine is characterized by recurring attacks occurring by surprise and lasting between half a day to 3 days, and might necessitate patient isolation. So I'll let you imagine the impact on professional and social life. And beyond numbers and definition, if you ask people to talk about their migraines, words such as deprivation, impact, and disbelief come along, not to mention the cascading consequences, such as pregnancy avoidance for 1 woman with migraine in 5. So here is the situation. Today's siloed care is worsening the picture. Data is barely collected, analyzed, and shared, leading to a standoff between counterparts, which are patients, doctors, and researchers. Thus, the Apo's mission is really to be the facilitator and help implement a real care 4.0, personalized, participative, preventive, and predictive care to win over migraine through data, and more precisely through patients' mobile app already used by 50 beta testers today, and helping them in assessing impact and treatment response, identifying triggers, and get a suitable care. And the data collected through the app is actually fueling the AI platform, which is transforming patients' data into anonymous aggregated care insights, proving drug safety and efficacy, in the real world, and matching the best treatment for each patient. Fortunately, Apo is not the only actor in the digital health, but we observed a lot of siloed approach with company targeting either patients or doctors or researchers' need, while our conviction is really that it's only the patient centricity and letting the data flow around him that could really lead to patient empowerment, seamless care journey, and a better and faster drug development. And so we went through a beta test, and the metrics actually bolster our conviction. Since we have no app in installation, usage is constant over time. We have more than 1,000 migraine records, and users are ready to recommend the app to other migraine sufferers they know. Concerning business opportunities, we are addressing a market with high number and strong growth. If you look at the clinical trials data, we can talk about Medidata company that has been bought for 5 billion last year. If you look at the migraine drug market, it is booming right now because of the launch of new treatments, and it's expected to reach almost $8 billion in 2025. And the real-world market, real-world evidence market, is also expecting to double in the coming years to reach $2 billion in 2025. The financial mechanics behind Apo relies on the user data monetization. We keep the app free of charge for the patient and work with pharmaceuticals on a service mixing beyond the pill strategy and real-world evidence collection. We launched Apo Tech Care with Kilian, a former colleague of mine. Kilian is more on the tech side. And we are backed on the scientific side by migraine specialists, being a neurologist key opinion leader, a patient association, and a GP in a pain clinic. And if we look back and forward, we took time to co-create and beta test the first version of Apo with patients and doctors. And now we're ready to unleash our growth, to release the app on the App Store, recruit new users, build the most powerful AI platform. And in the near future, the nearest future, I hope, we will replicate Apo to other chronic disease so that we do not only help the life of hundreds of millions of migraine sufferers, but we help billions of people win over their chronic disease. Thank you very much. Don't know if I'm
fantastic, Celine. Thank you. Over to the Q&A. Who would like to start?
I'm happy to start. Celine, thank you for your pitch. And it sounds like a really massive problem that you're tackling. Just to get a sense of what sort of improvement do you intend to track over time? So from the slide you showed, it basically shows the user activity, but concretely, what sort of metrics do you intend to track over time, and what sort of success do you expect?
So it's actually a very good question. There are metrics such as attacks length, so the beginning of the crisis and the end of it. One of the most important one is the the drugs usage, which is very, very dangerous concerning chronic disease, because at some point you can use too many of them and get in a very vicious circle. There are other metrics such as activity, stress, sleep, weather. There are actually many of them, and it depends. What is very, very interesting with migraine is that every migraine sufferer has a different story. There are more than 400 headaches type in the world, and so it has to be very personalized, and that's what is very interesting in this digital adventure, is that you can actually get the closest to every type of migraine thanks to the mobile app and the AI platform.
Okay, thank you.
Emelie, would you like to ask a few questions of Celine?
I think Raphaëlle unmuted first, so I'll give her the floor.
Okay, sorry, Emelie. Thanks, Celine, for the pitch. Can you elaborate a little bit on the value that you provide to the users of the app, like kind of recommendations and how they can track a progress?
Yeah, sure. So the thing is today, if you want to put yourself in the shoes of a migraine sufferer, you see your doctors every 6 months, right? And you have to give him a hint on what happened in 6 months for you in the 15 minutes of the consultation that you have. And this is actually really impossible. It's really hard. And so today with Apo, you, as a migraine sufferer, you can record a crisis very, very easily in less than 30 seconds. And then you don't have to think about it anymore. Apo is running the analysis alone and give you a synthesis at the end. And even it's pulling out a report that you can send to your doctor the day of your consultation, so that when you get in the consultation, the doctor knows everything about what happened for you in the 6 months, and you know it as well. And you can talk for the next 6 months and really have a real collaboration on what's going to be the pros and cons of other treatments. Should we continue and keep on doing things as we do and everything like that?
Thank you.
It could also be helpful, actually, if you consider this consultation part. Sometimes you're going to the doctors just to have your drugs, what's the word for that?
Your prescription, right?
Thank you very much, Elina, your prescription again. But on the other part, there is another migraine sufferer for whom the situation is getting worse and worse, and he has to wait for more than 6 months to see someone. So you're taking the time of a doctor while it's useless, right? So the app could actually help the migraine sufferer saying, okay, now you're on the right track. You just need your prescription renewed. While if you are not on the right track, the app could tell the users, careful guys, now it's the time to see someone because you are really taking the wrong path. You are using too many medication. It could be very, very impactful. So now is the time to see a doctor. And that's real.
Great. Time's up for the
sorry.
No, sorry, do you want to finish your sentence? We're not that bad.
That's how preventive care could work, but no, please. I could talk hours about this project, so you should go.
Another time. Yeah. Celine, thank you very much. Celine from Apo Tech Care. Thank you for that. Our next startup is called Duopoly. Celine, if I ask you to mute your mic as well, thank you.
Hi, thank you so much. So my name's Tanvi and I'm representing Duopoly, and I just wanted to thank the She Loves Tech team for inviting us to be on these regional finals for the UK and France. And we're so excited to see all our fellow female founders and their exciting startups. So I'm just going to share my screen and hopefully the tech is on my side today. And hopefully this will work. That's great. So firstly, my name is Tanvi Nandan, and along with my co-founder, Erin Morris, we are on a mission to revolutionize the visitor experience in any venue worldwide. So why did we start this journey? The average person spends 6 months of their lifetime queuing. This is absolutely phenomenal. In fact, the average London tourist spends 5 hours queuing at visitor attractions alone. So it's not just because we're British and like to queue. So actually, we delved a little deeper and found that 20%, almost 20% of TripAdvisor reviews relates to queues, crowds, and busyness for the top 5 UK attractions. So this is a wide-scale problem across industries, and it leads to poor repeat customers, less revenue spent on site, and ultimately impacts the bottom line of the venue. And now with COVID, dispersing people away from the crowd is more important than ever, not only from a revenue standpoint, but also from a safety standpoint. So Duopoly provides a solution. So meet our product, explore it. We piloted with the Eden Project, which is a top UK 40 attraction back last year and receives over 1 million visitors every year. And we provide a web analytics dashboard for venues to understand in real time where their visitors are, and a mobile app for visitors to download free of charge, available on iOS and Android with our unique illustrated and gamified style. So how do we differentiate ourselves? We create unique win-win situations for both the visitors and venues in one product. We facilitate the sending of personalized discounts to visitors to shift them away from the busy areas and help drive increases in concessionary spending. Using GPS and downstream satellite data, we track where visitors are anonymously. So we track phone IDs, we don't track people, to help with long-term data analysis, staff allocation, and long-term planning. And ultimately, this improves the visitor experience and helps increase and optimize the visitor flow on site. So what were the outcomes? The numbers speak for themselves. Following our pilot, not only have we signed our first paying client, the National Trust Cornerstone Coast Partnership, we also achieved fantastic statistics. 95% of our surveyed users would use the app if it was offered at another visitor attraction, and 33% responded to our monetary offers. That meant we had the potential to shift a third of the visitor population away from the busy areas, which will only increase as we grow, scale, and understand our target audience more. And what are we doing right now in relation to the COVID pandemic? We already track where people are, so why don't we give the information in the palm of their hands? So meet our new COVID alert and crowd tracker feature set. We offer an easy to understand traffic light system to show visitors where the busy areas are in real time, so they can make informed socially distant decisions. And a COVID alert system so venues can anonymously know actually where people might have been if they later test positive. They can increase their cleaning regime, decide whether to contact people, and ultimately give them the information to make informed, responsible decisions. So how is this going to scale? Our pipeline is focused on scalable low-cost pilots, and here you can see mock-ups that we've done to show how easy it is to overlay on our existing back-end infrastructure. We're already working with the National Trust Cornerstone Coast Partnership, which we're really excited for, and we're also in conversations with the leading European camping resort. And right now, we're also working on Explore Campus, working with a major university in the UK to help bring students and staff back on campus safely and securely, and allow students to enjoy their experience at university. So this tech has so many potential opportunities. The visitor attraction industry alone is worth $135 billion globally, and our technology is scalable. It can be used in museums, theme parks, and even citywide. So the world is our oyster. The team behind it. Myself, I'm a chartered accountant, having trained at Ernst & Young. I also went to study economics at Cambridge University. I'm responsible for the business strategy. My co-founder is an award-winning film director, Erin Morris, and she's responsible for product development. And we have a fantastic technical advisor, Ben Sewell, who has over 20 years of experience of software development. And for a young startup, we've gained so much recognition, including from the European Space Agency, travel heavyweight booking.com, and featured in The Guardian. So we make money by operating a SaaS model. We charge our customers an initial fixed fee, ongoing license fee, and optional data analysis fee. And we are ambitious and will be revenue generating in our first financial year and forecasting annualized revenue of £3.4 million at year 3. So we invite you to join our journey. We're currently raising £125,000 of private investment to unlock another £125,000 of capital secured from the European Space Agency and Aerospace Cornwall, and we've already secured 30% to date. We hope you're excited as we are for the future of data duopoly. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Tanvi, and from Data Duopoly. Next up, we have DeltaBlock. Tanvi, if I would ask you to mute yourself. Thank you very much again. That's great.
Sorry to cut in. I think, Tanvi, it's your 3 minutes Q&A time.
Oh, yes, sorry.
No worries.
No worries.
Yes. Who would like to start? Emelie.
I can jump in. Perfect. Thank you so much for the presentation, Tanvi. It's really interesting. I was basically wondering, you said that you're now raising 125K to unlock another 125K, but what will the focus be once you've secured the funding?
So for us, it's really to undertake these low-cost pilots. We're working on our indoor positioning. Right now, we work with outdoor venues using GPS data and downstream satellite data. So we'll be integrating with Wi-Fi triangulation and iBeacon technology to make that experience seamless as you go from an outdoor exhibit to an indoor exhibit and really being able to map a whole of a venue quite accurately.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tanvi, for the pitch. Super interesting. I'm sorry I wasn't clear on how you collect the data, and do you need users' consent on the sort of data you collect?
Yes, so when users download our app, they will be asked permissions, would they allow us to track them? But the key thing about us and how we differentiate ourselves is completely anonymous. We don't track a person, we track a phone ID. So that really gives people reassurance that it's not Big Brother. And we actually give people value for the data because we're allowing people to have a much better experience on site by getting access to these exclusive offers and also getting access to real-time information about how busy a site is and personalized routes. We really do believe that actually it's not just one-sided like CCTV cameras, which might be tracking people and the venue gets that data, but you're not giving anything back to the user who's actually giving up their data, their face ID, and everything. So this is really trying to democratize the information sharing process.
Okay, thank you.
Rhea, did you have any questions for Tanvi?
Yes, actually, do you have any competitors right now or any similar products in the market that is around? Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, certainly. So while there are other products in the market, many of them use additional pieces of hardware. One thing we really focus on is using simple technology that people already have in the palm of their hands or their pocket, so using the phone's inbuilt GPS. And we also incorporate the data for the venue and the experience for the visitor in one product, rather than requiring two different ones. So there are competitors out there working with attractions, but where we differentiate ourselves is really focusing on the gamification element, really engaging people and creating a personalized experience while also feeding that data back to the venue in one simple product that's quite easy to understand and work.
I think we probably have time for one more question. Raphaëlle, do you have one?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the pitch. You've mentioned it a little bit, but I will still address the elephant in the room, meaning there are so few visitors anywhere right now, and it's not expected to rise over the next 6 months. So how do you expect to generate revenue on the short term, or basically in 2021?
Yes, no, that's very true. COVID certainly has put a spanner in the works. But I think as a young startup, we've really risen to the challenge and thought, actually, how can we give people information so they feel confident coming back to venues? And what we've actually seen is we signed our first paying client during the COVID pandemic because people have reassessed their digital strategy and realized, actually, we need something like this. No longer is it a nice to have, it's essential. So we can reopen our doors and give people confidence to re-enter our venue. And we've also thought of new revenue streams, especially working with universities. We already track where people are, so why can't we do that on campus and actually shift students away from the really busy canteen in the West Wing, send them to the East Wing, and actually everyone gets a much better experience and come back to campus and get the student experience that they deserve. And everyone's so digitally savvy now, being on Zoom calls all the time. It's now almost an expectation when people re-enter a venue, they want a digital experience to complement their physical one.
Great. Time's up now. Thank you, Tanvi, from Data Duopoly, solving the issue of congestion and frustrations experienced by visitors. Now, next up, we do have DeltaBlock. Tanvi, if I can ask you to turn off your video and mute yourself. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Zeta. I am the co-founder of DeltaBlock, a fintech startup in the capital market space. So I will be sharing my screen now to start with the pitch. Great. So let's start with the problem. So nowadays, we can buy and sell shares from all over the world instantly. But want it or not, our attention tends to focus only in the most famous companies worldwide. Today, it is more likely for every one of us to buy one of the top 50 US listed shares rather than buying stocks from companies developing similar services or products in our own markets. And this represents a huge problem for most economies. Today, at least 80% of all the listed companies in each exchange is struggling with the lack of liquidity or the lack of visibility. And of course, the companies that have a smaller size are the ones that are suffering from it the most. We can see that here in Europe, these kind of companies can lose up to 40% of their market valuation just because of the lack of traders out there exchanging their share. Moreover, they have high volatility, or what we call the risk perception, which impacts whenever the company wants to issue debt, for example, because they receive worse interest rates. And last but not least, they lose visibility worldwide. And in most cases, that was actually the main reason why they decided to get listed in the first place. Now, it is on that note that DeltaBlock builds trading algorithms able to enhance the liquidity of these companies. Our trading algorithms go to the market and buy and sell the shares frequently enough in order to improve most of the market indicators, such as the volatility, the price resiliency, the market depth, etc. And we do it strategically enough to attract more market actors. Our ultimate goal is that retail investors, traders, institutional investors can notice the share and start to exchange it more frequently. Now, we're transforming a relatively less trading asset or a stock that is very hard to buy and sell in the market into a tradable one. But let's put it in very simple terms. Our technology puts these mid-sized listed companies on the radar of traders around the world. Now, who uses the technology? Mostly the listed company itself. We're talking about mid-sized firms who struggle with the lack of liquidity, lose visibility worldwide, and may have not a fair valuation in the market. Now, secondly, we have other use cases, such as exchanges or financial institutions themselves, who may want to improve the liquidity of one particular share in their portfolio. Now, to give you an idea on where the industry is at, we found out that there are some market actors trying to tackle this problem. However, they're only targeting already big companies. They are only targeting major companies who already have liquidity and have a decent visibility. Secondly, what we found out is that this solution is still very discretionary. This means that there is a trader or a portfolio manager behind the desk executing a few operations in the market, making sure that there is a minimum volume. But there's not an automatized solution able to guarantee a fast reaction whenever it's needed in the market. So we found a huge mark, and we're able to provide higher efficiency for smaller companies, who are the ones that actually need it the most. Thanks to our technology, we can guarantee that we can generate at least 2 times more liquidity using less than 10% of the resources required by our best competitor here in France. Now, of course, the potential of our solution is massive. We could potentially help not only stocks, but bonds, corporative debt, derivatives, alternative assets. However, of course, due to our size, we're currently focusing only in mid-sized firms in major exchanges in Western Europe and the Asia-Pacific region. Now, let me introduce you to the team. Hamza, my co-founder, he holds a PhD in math applied to liquidity modeling. So he's one of a few in the world who have studied this particular kind of algorithms in academia. He has also stood out as a quant modeler in top institutions in France, and he's a research fellow at Cambridge University. As of myself, I'm a former trader and portfolio manager, and I worked in big firms such as JP Morgan in the past, and my main expertise happened to be in liquid markets. Now, let me say one more thing. We both come from emerging markets or developing economies, and we know firsthand how we have amazing companies who do not get the visibility they deserve, and they do not get to impact in their real economies. So it is because of this that our mission is to accelerate the world's transition to more democratic capital markets by improving the liquidity of less liquid stocks. And our vision is to create opportunities for smaller companies to harness the full potential of capital markets and actually generate an impact in their own economies. So thank you. I'm open to questions now.
Thank you, Maria. Q&A is now open. Would anyone like to start?
I'm happy to start. And actually, I'm at Gaia. We're we co-founded the fund with an asset manager named Sycomore that invests on the public markets and specifically small caps. So we are very much aware of this issue of small companies. I'm not clear about the sorry, Maria. I'm not clear about the what. Do you add a tool? The traders have a number of tools at different data providers, research brokers, some of the names you mentioned. So are you like another layer on top of my, Bloomberg, Thomson Reuters for me to screen stocks? Sorry, that wasn't clear. But other than that, thank you for the pitch. It sounds like a super interesting area.
Thank you. Just to answer these questions, I may add that we act as any other trader. So the way the solution works is, imagine you are a small size firm, you hire us, and we go to the market and buy and sell the share as any other trader in the market. But by doing this very frequently, we manage to reduce the volatility of the share, for example, and improve other market variables. And our goal by doing this is to attract the attention of other market actors, right? So we want this small stock to start behaving as a healthier stock and start to attract more interest from other market actors. What we see in the market, just to give you one example, is that there are a lot of investors who invest in small and mid-cap companies in the stock market, but they expect the company to have less than X volatility. Right? And we know that if you're a small company and you only have one trade a day, it's very likely for you to have a very high volatility, just because there's not enough actors out there exchanging the share. So by our activity, we manage to trade with more frequency and try to reduce this volatility that comes only because of the lack of traders. And by doing that, we put this little stock in the radar of now an institutional investor, for example. Right? So we trade as any other trader in the market.
Okay, got it. So that means that you would have to have your own balance sheet and money to invest, right?
Yes, it's quite complex if we get in that, but there's two ways of doing that. We can either do it with our own money, or we can ask the company to provide the resources. And this is very important, because if we go with our own money, are we there to actually generate profit with our money, or to actually improve the liquidity of the share? So since there exists a small conflict of interest, here in France, for example, the regulation says that it's the company who should provide some resources for us to deploy in the market optimally. And once the contract is over, these resources are to be given back to the customer.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
That's great. I'm afraid Q&A is up. Thank you very much, Maria Seta, for pitching DeltaBlock to us. Please may I ask you to mute yourself and turn off your video. And next up we have, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, Equilo. Over to you.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. Share screen. Apologies, the babysitter did not show up. So this is what happens when the babysitter doesn't show. I have an extra person on here. So let me share my screen here. Okay, is that working? Great. Hi, I'm Rachel Elsinga, co-founder of Equilo, where we are hacking equality for a happier, more just world. As you heard from our intros today, gender equality matters, and that's exactly what we are addressing. It's both a human right and a precondition for catalyzing development. This touches basically every part of our lives globally, whether we're talking about the experience of violence by young girls, the $28 trillion not realized in GDP due to not having gender equality, or it could even help improve the agriculture industry and increase output to address hunger. So how can we address this? Well, we do it by something called a gender analysis. This is something that's existing, but you might be asking, what is a gender analysis? Essentially, it's a due diligence process that looks at the impacts of a project or investment on women and girls, and also men and boys, so that there are no unintended consequences. I'll just give a quick example. You may be familiar with microfinance. These are small loans given to women. Well, after a few years, in some villages where there was hard uptake on these, which was good, we also saw an increase in domestic violence. Essentially, this microfinance was disrupting the balance of power within the household. And so the answer would not be to cancel microfinance, but you find that simply inviting the men to the training sessions eliminates this, because then they feel part of the process and they understand why it's good for their family. So that's what gender analysis does. It tries to anticipate the complications, the unintended knock-on consequences, essentially risk mitigation, to improve the outcomes of a project or an investment. However, there are some challenges. First, time constraints. This is very time intensive, as it's manually done by consultants, which leads to budget constraints. Obviously, consultants can be very expensive. And gender specialists it's a niche field. There's not a ton of them. So demand far outpaces supply. That's where Equilo comes in. We are essentially data as a service, a web-based application where you can log in and put in the country where you're doing a project or investment and the sector. And we deliver comprehensive data analysis, both quantitative and qualitative, as well as lists of recommendations and what works. So essentially telling whether you're a gender specialist, it tells you all the data you need to know to make good decisions, or if you're just someone who isn't familiar with gender, but you want to make sure you're mitigating your risks, it will tell you, why gender equality applies to your project or investment, why you should care, and what you can do about it. So ultimately, this saves time and money. We're looking to enhance the quality. There's no standardization right now across different organizations on how they do gender analysis. So we're essentially starting from scratch each time. It accelerates the integration, and this is very important. Right now, gender analysis is sort of done down the line, and at that point, it's sort of a check the box activity, and the recommendations are implemented. If we move that up to the decision-making process, whether it's an investment or the project planning process, then we can integrate these gender recommendations at that stage and ensure that they get done to ultimately catalyze change and improve gender equality. So there is an existing market for this. Last year, the OECD countries spent $45 billion focused specifically on gender equality and women's empowerment activities. Gender lens investing has taken off. It increased 24 times in just 4 years to $2.4 billion. Government agencies such as UNOPS, USAID, essentially all the major development agencies, as well as the development finance institutes, require a gender analysis to be done either by policy or in some cases by law. And at the end of the day, gender equality outperforms. The gender equality index outperformed by 10.7%. So it's good for private and public. Our business model is essentially both B2B and B2G. B2G being the government agencies, we go direct to them to help integrate into their process. And B2B is either social impact funds or consultants who are being subcontracted by these agencies to complete the gender analysis. We offer both licensing and subscription options, and we have an existing client base. My co-founder has been in this space for 15 years, so we have a lot of great relationships. To date, we are self-funded with the exception of a grant from the National Science Foundation last year. We just did our soft launch last month and have 2 live clients, and the 2X Collaborative, which is 22 development finance institutions, are in the pipeline to do a group subscription. This is my co-founder Jessica and myself, and at this stage we're ultimately looking for input into additional feedback of what functionalities we could add, collaboration, for example on last mile data collection, and ultimately funding. We have 126 countries live, and we're now looking to add our sectors. I'm open to questions.
That's great. Let's open up the Q&A then for Rachel and her little assistant.
Thank you, Rachel, for the pitch. That was super interesting. I have maybe 2 questions on my side. The first one is, where does the data comes from? And the second one would be, what's the main adoption driver for your solution for these the companies that you address?
The data is all publicly available data. So it's everything from UNOPS, World Bank. We vet the data across. We have a team that goes through each and finds the best data source. Sometimes it's actually country level surveys, and we bring it all to one place. So a lot of this data is out there, but it's just, you got to go find it. And so often people feel like we just don't have enough data on gender, but in fact it's there. It's just not in one place. So it's publicly available. And then just brought on board. So we use their APIs to essentially create our own gender equality data API. And the motivation for them to use it is that, yeah, right now, something like USAID, they're contracting consultants. So my co-founder is a gender specialist, and she is constantly doing these projects. And each time it's like, oh, no one knows what this gender analysis stuff is. And you're starting from scratch as if it's something new, even though every project requires it. So this essentially creates some standardization for someone even like USAID, so that they can compare, if someone's responding to an RFP, they can compare across different people's approaches to the gender equality piece. And lastly, I think I mentioned that what happens is it is a check the box. People think, okay, it's required. I did this gender analysis. I have this report. They put it on the shelf and it's never looked at again. Whereas if USAID uses it in their RFP process, then they can ensure that these gender recommendations get completed and you don't have to go back and sort of undo maybe some unintended consequences.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
I have one question. Thank you, Rachel. Super interesting. I was basically just wondering kind of how do you actually monetize this? So you mentioned the data service. So is it a subscription that you offer, or is it more of a pay-per-use or pay-per-access?
It's a subscription. So we have different levels depending on how many countries you want access to. And we essentially give it access to the organization. So you can, if it's just a one-off, it'd be like one country for 1 month. But if it's a full organization, they might want 50 countries or even all 126. And then it's a next level if you want to add on the sector-specific information. And the other option that we've spoken to a few about is actually like white labeling it. They want a specific license. So it looks like when you log on, it looks like you're already in a USAID portal. It doesn't look like you've left elsewhere. So we're exploring that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Great. I don't know, do you have time for one more question? I'm not sure. Rhea, anything to add?
I actually want to ask about, obviously very aligned on our mission, but I want to ask, like, during the procurement of customers, right now you mentioned you have 2 in the pipeline. Can you just share a little bit like how it was, right, trying to get people to use your platform? Is it more of you like doing a hard sell, or are there willing people already looking for products like this, right? Because yes, ESG is on the rise, and a lot of people are more, are very interested in incorporating gender lens in various approach, but still, this is a very niche, I would say, market and point of view. So can you share a little bit more the feedback and how you've gone about this?
Sure. So the 2 customers we have are actually live. They're paid customers, and the other, there's 22 as part of the DFI collaborative. And essentially what we've been able to do is, Jessica has been in this space for 15 years. She's been acting as a gender specialist, and she keeps running into the same problems. So she has long-standing relationships with DFC, used to be OPIC, DFID, CDC UK. And so we essentially started by talking to them and saying, look, we've observed these obstacles. Do you feel the same way? And what would help you? And we created it custom, like bespoke, so that it will fill their needs. So it's more been like, is it ready yet? Because neither of us are technical founders. We engage a tech team rather than the hard sell. And so it's been really useful. For example, one of the customers, they don't have an in-house gender specialist. And so they didn't have budget to find somebody for 20,000. And so instead they just log on and get a $500 subscription, and they have all the information they need to fulfill their requirements.
Rachel, I'm really sorry. We're going to have to wrap up now. But thank you very, very much to both of you, and absolutely bossing it with your, with your little one there. So fantastic. Thank you very, very much. If I could get you to mute your mic and turn your video off, that'd be great. So thank you, Rachel. That's Equilo using smart tech to provide a gender analysis lens to improve outcomes for investment and planning. Next up, we have Filmdoo.
Hello.
I can welcome Filmdoo.
Hi, I'm just gonna screen share.
Hi there.
Hello. Just want to check that everyone can see my screen before I start.
I think we can.
Yeah. Perfect. How many people here have tried to learn a language using an app? And how many of you have actually dropped off and never finished your course as planned? That's right. Across all current language learning solutions right now, there's a very high industry dropout rates of 90% due to the lack of student engagement online. I'm Verada, the CEO and co-founder of Filmdoo, and I'm here to introduce our game-based edutainment platform that makes it easy and fun to teach and learn languages through the use of engaging films. Filmdoo is unique because we actually lie in the intersections of films, games, and AI all coming together to make learning fun and effective. Filmdoo actually first launched as a movie streaming platform in 2015. Today, we have one of the world's biggest international film catalogs online. Last year, we started to notice that actually over 80% of our traffic was coming from language-related searches. And in a survey that we ran with our users, over 70% told us that the #1 reason they're coming to Filmdoo is they are learning a foreign language. So we went on to develop a layer of innovative edtech that sits on top of our films, so that now language schools and tutors can easily turn any film and video into an interactive lesson. Today, Filmdoo is the world's first edutainment platform to combine language learning with an extensive and powerful international film catalog online. Learning languages has never been more fun and enjoyable. Multiple students can now watch a film and play a game along at the same time, testing their knowledge and having a friendly competition, all the while keeping the students engaged and focused. Most language learning apps actually do not take a learner all the way to fluency, but authentic content that gives cultural context and cultural understanding can and do. Filmdoo has developed a whole suite of proprietary technology that really helps with personalized learning, such as our AI that can recommend films according to a student's specific language level and interest. We are already being used by a number of language schools and tutors all around the world. Feedback so far has been great. Students say they're having so much fun and can't wait for the next class. Tutors, on the other hand, say it's great to have thousands of hours of content that they can easily turn into teaching material, and it's such an easy to use and versatile tool. The demand for edtech has never been higher. Overnight, due to COVID, schools, universities, and language schools all have needed to go online. So there's been an increasing need to find a solution to keep students engaged online. Expanding into online learning allows Filmdoo to expand to a 350 billion global edtech market, as well as a 60 billion language learning market. As we speak, 3 billion people are learning a foreign language, including over 60% who are learning English, and in which Filmdoo is well placed to serve. Asia itself is a 170 billion edtech market. As a Thai-British founder, I'm very focused on developing Filmdoo across UK, Europe, and Southeast Asia, especially using underutilized British and European films to help Asian people learn languages. We already have some great tractions and are in pilots with some of the world's biggest language learning institutions. The total number of students set to convert once the pilot ends is around 100,000 to 200,000 students, which at £3 per month per student can be quite a sizable commercial opportunity. The key thing about Filmdoo is we're not trying to replace language tutors and language schools. In fact, we offer a complementary service to these B2B institutions so that they can provide more services, attract more students, and retain their students. So we can leverage these B2B partnerships as a go-to-market strategy. What's great is that we're not just building a language learning app, we are actually building a whole new edutainment ecosystem across B2C and B2B that leverages the power of film and independent tutors for marketing, content, and distribution. In our 3-year financials, we forecast reaching 50 million in revenue across 10 million users, with 80% of our revenue driven by B2B. It's an exciting time. We're currently raising our seed round to scale our technology and develop the business across Asia and in Europe. So get in touch so that together we can join the edutainment revolution. Thank you. Sorry, I can't hear.
Thank you, Varada, for that pitch. Over to our esteemed judges for Q&A.
I'll start then. So a couple questions. First question, can you tell us a little bit more about your team? Who's part of the team? And yeah, please share a little bit more. Second question, obviously, as you've already explained in your pitch, online videos and streaming platforms are especially hot right now. Everyone's practically on Netflix or whatever, their preferred platform. So how do you view these platforms, right? What if one day they decide to do something like this? They have a bigger catalog. Where does your catalog come from? And yeah, future kind of plans in terms of competitors.
Yes, so my background is in strategy and management consultancy, so I have the skill set. My lead head of EdTech, his background is specifically in EdTech. He's built some of the world's biggest learning management system. He was also in the AI team in Oracle, so he's the head of EdTech. I also have a co-founder whose background is as a lawyer, M&A lawyer, so of course we have a lot of legal with negotiating contract, and of course by now I have a lot of people who works in the film and in the sales space. In terms of the film we work with, a lot of our films are independent films, short films, and international films. Many of these are difficult to get distribution around the world. We have a self-upload content. So by now we get 50 to 100 submissions a day easily. We've been around for a few years in the film space. Like I said, we actually have one of the world's biggest international film catalog online. The reality is we also have a lot of short films, not just feature film, which is perfect for language learning. So we already have over 3,000 films, signing over 2,000 filmmakers. So we already have the rights for these films, and we have a lot of flexibility for these films. A lot of these films we have worldwide rights, and which a lot of the global platforms do not have because of the nature of the content they pick up. That's why they're trying to produce their own content. But due to the nature of our film, it's very suitable for language learning, including short films, which can be very engaging. And also a lot of the films we have are really contemporary, underrepresented filmmakers, LGBT, female film directors, which are really relevant and relate to the young audience we are helping with language learning. Thank you.
Rhea, thank you for the pitch. Do you position yourself as a competitor to a Duolingo, for example, in the B2C space, or do you see yourself as a partner just selling content to them?
Definitely a partner. So right. we already have films. We can just on the film side without our EdTech technology, we can just supply films to them. In fact, I'm already started discussions with them. But actually, like I mentioned, we could do a lot of cross-selling. So there, if you use your apps, you can access our films, you can access our online games. But yes, like I mentioned, we are very complementary to other language learning apps and language schools as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
On my side, what's the defensibility around the offer? What would prevent another company, either a big existing one or a new entrant, to develop a similar thing and to grow on this market?
Yes, so the first thing to start off with is, you might remember I had a slide that says content in EdTech. We already have content. So we already have a lot of content that obviously we've built over the years and the relationship. So that is a defensible mode we have already to start off with, especially against any newcomers. In terms of the EdTech, we also start to have a lot of proprietary data around the users, what kind of films they like. That started from our original movie streaming website as well. But we are also developing some really proprietary technologies, such as the AI I mentioned, where you can recommend films based on language level. This uses 27 different variables that we've developed solely in-house. For example, we can analyze the film based on the number of adverbs, grammar points, how fast someone is speaking, to say how easy or difficult this film is. So this technology has been developed proprietary, and it's something, for example, other platforms are interested in potentially collaborating. Thank you.
Thank you. Time is up for the Q&A. Thank you very much, Verada from Filmdoo, film and game-based edutainment platform to learn and teach languages. If I may ask you to mute yourself and then turn off your video for our next startup.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Verada. So next up, we have Galactica Biotech. And I believe Elina will be pitching on their behalf.
Hello. My name is Elina Valencia, and I'm the founder and the European director of the company, which is called the Galactica Biotech. And I'm very proud to present you my company today. So I'm going to share my screen. Just 1 second. It's ready. We start. So Galactica Biotech. The modern world faces the new challenges. As we see in the world of pandemic, the challenge that we face now, we need everything fast, effective, and exact. But as we say about pharmaceutical market, it's quite conservative. And nowadays cannot bring us solutions very fast, as it takes up to 20 years and costs up to $2 billion to bring the medicine to the market, which means to bring that to people who really need it right here and right now. And finally, it also has only 10 success rate when the medicine comes to the market and gets to the laboratories, from the laboratories to the patients, which really need them. So high technologies, they bring the solutions. And one of the trends is for sure is polypharmacology. Using that trend, Galactica Biotech invented the proprietary method. It's machine learning method, which allows to fasten that process. And it takes only up to a few weeks to take the solution using the artificial intelligence and machine learning, because there are plenty of medicine which already exist in the market and already proved its effectiveness and safety. So using the high technologies, we can analyze that medicine and the molecules that consist, the molecules from which that drugs consist, to use that for new applications, for new targets. And especially it's important for the rare diseases where people cannot get the medicine fast. And especially it's very important in the time of pandemic. So our method allows us to do that, to analyze the existing medicine and to bring the solutions fast. This technology, what we propose is we identify novel compounds and use the repurposing, so-called repurposing, where we do in silico, and we do that in effective manner, which help us to get to the up to 80 and more rate of accuracy, which, as you see, is can be different from the existing models very much. So what we propose, what is our value proposition? So for sure, we use polypharmacology, and we are targeting personalized medicine, which is a kind of trend now in the biopharma. And for sure, what we need is reduced time to the market. And we create the new intellectual property, which is important, I suppose, not only for the company and its value, but for the whole market and for the whole world, as we see at the effect. So some words about our platform. It's a unique platform that we created with our team, which uses dense neural network architecture. And as you see, different molecules which we are analyzing can get to new targets and find the new targets for the existing sets of molecules, and to find the new effects for the existing medicine and sets of molecules that the companies provide to us. To be more specific, one of that is data wrangler that we are doing. We are cleaning, organizing protein and ligand. You can see that it's not only effective, but very beautiful. It looks very beautiful on the picture. So our business model is consists of 3 components. So we analyze the set of molecules that the companies provide to us. We analyze them using our proprietary method, and we sell the report with the new applications, creating IP. We already have done competitive analysis, benchmarking shows us there are few companies in the market, but we understood that our unique artificial intelligence methodology is superior, and especially in the terms of accuracy, which brings more than 80 in this case. We have a brilliant team of experts I'm very proud to work with. We have different spheres of expertise. I think that makes our company really strong. Market of polypharmaceutical market is really huge. It's more than $36 billion. So there is a huge amount of things we can do on this market and to propose value to this market. During our timeline, we already succeeded with a lot of things, which also brings us to the very important thing as a COVID treatment that we found, and now we're dealing with some institutions to bring it into the life and to apply it to the real challenges. We have got Seal of Excellence from European Commission, and we have been in some contests, which I think our winning in this contest brings us more and more to the success, to bring more value. So as I said about that, and I would like to thank you for the attention, and I would like to say that uniting women in tech, I think, will bring us to a better world. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Elina. We now open. Who would like to start? Elina, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Elina, for the pitch. As you mentioned, there are a number of competitors that get data from research trials, from clinics, hospitals, etc. Just, it sounds like your differentiation is around the methodology and you being quite strong on deep learning. Just could you elaborate on the sort of data you go through versus the competition to identify the molecules?
I think one of our advantages is that we combine the existing data that we take from the open resources, and also we are doing our own lab analysis. So we've been working for a few years on that, and we have our own data, which we use now, the results of experimental job, which are also providing us a lot of data, and we are targeting to progress with that, because that also gives a very huge competitive advantage, because only in this case combining data which is really diverse from every data from other markets, as far as you know, and that helps us to have a huge range of that and to have very fast access to that to the data sets.
Okay, and in terms of monetization and revenue model, so you already have customers that are in trial with you?
Yeah, we already have started. As now, for sure, our goal is developing our business, but we already started working with few companies, and our model is that we take the sets of the molecules that they propose us, and we analyzed, and we gave them the reports for which else result they can get from that, so which targets they can use actually. So this is the model is quite simple, and that works well. We already tried with few companies which are not so big, but allowed us to see that the model is working and that the companies are ready to pay for that. So in now developing our company, creating our next goal is creating intellectual property. For this case, we want to for sure to develop our range of our customers, to develop our chain of customers, so increasing the business developers job in this case, and developing the sales in this case.
Okay, thank
Fantastic.
you. Thank you.
Great questions, Elina. Thank you. Do we have time for one more question? Anyone have a question they'd like to pose to Elina? No? No? All good?
Maybe a follow-up question to what Elina last asked. What are some of the feedback and what are some of the feedback from the customers who you've already currently engaged? How do they find the platform? What are the results, etc.?
Yeah, that was very exciting for us. You know, the first deal was a big excitement, and for sure that was one of the purposes. Also, what the feedback. Everything went smoothly because I think we dedicated a lot of time for preparing for that first sale. Actually, so we had some issues that we discussed during our communication with the customers, and it was more about they wanted to know the whole process, and we understand that for sure from the beginning there is much more job from the beginning than when it's already done, because when they see actually the result, they just know already how they use it. So it takes longer time. We need to work more deeply while preparing the customer for the deal, and then for sure the effect of our program, it showed itself, and the feedback was really great, fantastic, and it gave us a lot of, I think, inspiration for the development of that platform. And we were really, the first time was very exciting and very
Thank you, Elina.
Thank you so much for that question.
Thank you very much. Elina from Galactica Biotech, applying machine learning to identify new uses for molecules in medicines and repurposing of drugs. I'm sure you'll agree that we've had some fierce competition so far, and we still have another 3 more pitches to hear. And next up, we have Haut AI, and I believe is Anastasia going to be pitching?
Yes.
AI. Welcome.
Yes. From Haut AI. Hello.
We can see you. All good.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Hello, everyone. Great pleasure to participate in the session and amazing startups. I will cut to the chase and go to my presentation. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Anastasia. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Haut AI platform. Haut AI is SaaS that enables companies working in skincare and skin health market collect quality skin and face data, process that with computer vision algorithms, and deliver great, brilliant experiences to e-commerce platforms and telemedicine services. So the problem is that we are now living in COVID and post-COVID world, and a lot of industries are undergoing digital transformation, and skincare industry is not an exception. While being a huge industry, it's still quite conservative, and the pace of adoption of technologies in the R&D phase is not always the fastest. So therefore, there's a big need to get the engagement with customers on the platforms, which include recommendation of relevant products, diagnostics of skin, and constant generation of the insight for customers to help them better understand their skin and select the optimal products to actually achieve the best results and best skin look and health. So we built our platform as realized that we can use the power of artificial intelligence to accurately diagnose and assess skin just from a single picture and provide meaningful recommendations for users. So we're not only focused on collecting of the image data, we're also enriching it with different type of metadata, including data which is coming from sensors, your activity, sports, nutrition, your cycle, the treatments that you are using, and also some lifestyle parameters. For example, how much sun exposure do you get daily? Are you living in a polluted area? And by using this image data, which is again not only limited to regular pictures, we also work with cross-polarized images and UV lighting and infrared lighting to make the diagnostic from a single picture, analyze your skin and dynamics, and select the best product. We have 2 products as a company. So first product is our Skin SaaS API, which enables companies build digital experiences on e-commerce platforms. So among of the products that we have, we can analyze skin, we can recommend products, we can simulate the effect of the different interventions, and we can also do it for both skin and for hair. The second revenue proposition that our platform provides is our skin business analytics. So it allows companies operating in skincare and skin health get the insights about their customers. So what's their skin condition, how it is changing over time, how do they respond to different products that they released, and have it in a very simple interface. So basically, how does our technology work? We're collecting an image, then we are analyzing its quality. We can do it both on the cloud or live to enable the better customer experience. Then we're calculating metrics using computer vision and neural network methods. We have trained it on more than 10 million image dataset for diverse age ranges, skin types for both male and female. Then we're providing their AI analytics, recommending products, simulating their effect, and pushing their analytics about skin condition to the boards for the business user. The advantages of our platform is that it's scientifically backed. We're really focused on skin health parameters, and our background is coming from biophysics and skin aging research. We're providing end-to-end solutions, so with us, we can implement the digital experience from the very beginning to the end. Our solution is white labeled. It's very easy to integrate, and we have transparent pricing based on the usage. So our team is primarily engineers, biologists, and dermatologists who help us develop these algorithms and make sure that they provide biological relevance. We have also published a number of research papers in peer-reviewed journals which cover both aging biomarkers and computer vision approach. So currently we're working with large corporations in skincare and skin health market, and our next second goal is to deliver the strategy for small medium business, so that any person who is interested in analyzing skin data can just do it through our platform. Thank you for your attention. Happy to answer the questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Anastasia. We open up the floor to some Q&A.
Thank you, Anastasia, for the pitch. My question was, so I understand the value comes from the aggregated data that you gather from the end users and that you can sell to anyone who would be interested. So how do you make sure that you have a lot of end users? Like, how do you make sure the value you provide them is enough to attract like thousands and thousands of users, so the data set is enough to then generate value?
Thank you for the question. It's actually it's actually great and very important for the topic. So first of all, we have already collected a huge data set of images, and we're using different technologies which allow us to augment the data. We use generative adversarial networks to simulate synthetic skin for diverse phenotypes. At the same time, we have conducted a number of research for different cohorts of people of different age and ethnicities to ensure that our algorithms are really diverse and we can process data from for all people. We have also analyzed profiles of more than 20,000 people to date, which gives us great generalization capability.
So the people you get that data from are not yet users of the app. I understood that.
No, so the thing is we're not working B2C. I'm sorry if I didn't make myself clear during the presentation. So our solution is for B2B. So we're just the suppliers of the technology for the business who are enabling their end users. And therefore, we initially started with building B2C app. However, realized that customer acquisition cost is very high. So we focused on B2B strategy, as we believe that cosmetics and skincare pharma brands know much better how to approach their customers. So we are developing accurate tech, and they are leveraging to their end customers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Anastasia. Do you have an idea of how you're gonna price the solution? Because I guess this will have an impact on the conversion rate, average basket, etc. of your customers.
Yes, we're actually at the stage where we are now. We are revenue generating and a little bit profitable. So we have different plans for small, medium business, for enterprise, and for private practice, like if it's just one person who is using it for as a plastic surgeon, or maybe for like as a dermatologist. So we have just 3 different plans depending on the usage and the features which are required.
Okay, what's
fantastic, I think.
Price? Sorry.
No, let's quickly. Elina,
Sorry,
go ahead to the follow-up.
per user, whatever, just to get a sense?
So for SMB, an average check is about 10,000 US dollars per year.
Great. We will have to wrap up there. I think it is 3 minutes. Thank you, Anastasia, for introducing and pitching Haut AI, a SaaS-based recommendation engine for skincare brands. Great. So 2 more left to go. So very exciting pitch competition. And we have next up, I believe, Gaia from Kidzabout. We see your screen, but can't hear anything just yet.
Okay, I think that's better. Sorry, I forgot. Is it good now?
All right. We can hear you.
Lovely. Lovely. Okay, my name is Gaia, and I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Kidzabout. I will start my pitch with a personal story. A few years ago, I had a scare of my daughter, that my daughter might have ADHD. And that was a period of time to realize that something might be going wrong, and a period of time which was also associated with extreme frustration, with anger, shame, guilt, and fear. I had to act quickly, like any parent. I had to know quickly. So I had 2 options. Option 1 would be to go with via NHS, but the average waiting time, as I found out, was 6 months. Option 2 was to go privately. However, the cost of the initial consultation for ADHD was £890.
Sorry,
So,
Gaia, sorry
yeah.
to interject there. I'm really interested to hear your pitch, but I do think you're doing yourself a disservice. We're unable to see your screen. Should we be seeing you, or should you be sharing a deck? Because we'd love to see something.
Okay.
Right
Okay,
now,
I'm
just
sharing,
seeing
I'm
your
sharing
screen.
a deck. I'm sharing a deck. It tells me I'm screen sharing.
Do you want to come out and try it again? It always happens to us. There's bound to be a tech glitch. I'm sorry. There we go. Now we see you. Can you see us?
Yes, I can see.
Wonderful. We can now see you, and now we can see your deck. I'm sure it'll be fine with She Loves Tech if we go right back to the beginning, just so that we do you the service of listening to you and hearing everything you have to say.
Okay.
Please do start
Lovely.
again. Thank you, Gaia. Okay,
So as I said from the beginning, so my pitch will start with a personal story of my daughter me being scared that a few years ago that my daughter might have ADHD. And so, as I said, it was a very frustrating, very scary period. And as I said, for any parents, there are 2 options right now being in the UK. And option 1 would be to go with NHS. However, the average waiting time is 6 months, and option 2 would be to go with private consultation. However, the cost of the initial consultation is £890. At that time, I started researching. I was lucky to find another option, which actually led me to reverse the initial diagnosis and also led me here presenting in front of you. What I found out that, mental illness is not a sentence. However, 75% of mental and emotional disorders in adults can be prevented if addressed early. But today, 38% children are turned away after the initial assessment. And these children, they go on to develop major mental or emotional disorders like anxiety, depression, PTSD. Currently, 1 in 4 girls in the UK, they have major depression at the age of 14. Almost 25%, almost a quarter of adolescent girls reported having seriously considered suicide. Nearly 20% of parents report their children talking about suicide of self-harm. However, 75% of children and adolescents with mental health issues, they never had appropriate interventions at the early age. The cost of that is huge. Why the cost of mental illness is over 105 billion every year, and mental illness is the single largest cost of disability. Okay. So that made me starting to think, what is actually health? Does health means that if somebody just doesn't have any disease, does it mean that this someone is healthy? WHO has a very brilliant definition of health, which is a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So health is just not the absence of negative, however, the presence of positive. So this what led us to launch Unforged, which is a social empowerment platform for children and teenagers. And our motto is to unlearn, to relearn, to reach your true and unforged potential. We're teaching children to realize who they are, what they are, and not to be scared to show it and not to be ashamed of who they are. We're using a wide range of advanced technologies and science to deliver ultimate good for the future generations. This is a personalized space which is built to emphasize inner strength, merit, and curiosity. We have in-house development program which combines positive psychology, CBT, MBST, and MBSR. And this scientific approach that we're using is proven for mental illness prevention and mental health improvement. We're using AI to deliver personalized interventions and to help children address different issues and problems that might affect the way they're thinking, the way they're living, or the way they're feeling. Okay. We are in a completely separate space, which we occupy a unique positioning for parent and child. For everything that exists right now in the market, we combine an advanced security as well with fun and positive value. Our market is growing daily, which is 175,000 children go online every day, and about 900 children online in our age group worldwide. So this allows us to tap into a huge market. We're starting with UK, then we're releasing the app in Central Europe, and then at the end of next year, we're planning a global launch. Our initial focus on growing a large user base very quickly. So we're starting with freemium model, and then at the next year, with the launch of personalized interventions and personalized learning programs, we will be charging a monthly subscription. We have a spread of revenue streams, which is subscription, microtransaction. As well, we will be launching curated advertising spaces. And also we are right now talking with potential sponsors about branded content like webisodes, which are personally connected to the brand. However, they also deliver a positive message and meaning. In year 3, we will be able to deliver an IRR of over 120%. This is the team behind. We've got cross-discipline team. We've got a security specialist. We've got a clinical psychologist. We've got somebody who is experienced in neurodevelopment and occupational therapy.
I'm afraid to cut you off there. I'm really sorry. We did restart your time. Thank you for dealing with that tech glitch so elegantly. And I do hope all is well with your daughter, whether she has ADHD or not. And we do now open up the floor to Q&A to our judges. But thank you very much. Who's going to want to jump in? Emelie, over to you.
I can jump in. I would love to hear a bit about who would you consider competition in this space, because I found your mapping there quite interesting.
Well, right now, with the proposition that we're offering, there are several, so to say, platforms specifically designed for teenagers. However, they don't offer the same value as we do offer. As I said, we have an in-house developed program which combines therapy, which combines psychology, which combines mindfulness. So right now, this mix of actually fun and learning. I would say there are niche products that, for example, there are products that are concentrated on suicide, there are products that concentrate on depression. However, we tried to do like a more holistic approach to actually mental health rather than treatment of certain mental illness. So that's why we put ourselves in a separate corner.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gaia, for the pitch. Could you please elaborate on the features that you intend to have on the product or that you probably already have?
Yes, we're currently testing the product. We have a completely unique, different UI with completely different user journeys and experiences. And this is what we're currently testing to ensure that children and teenagers understand and they're actually eager to adopt. And there is a personalized learning journey. So for example, it's all based on it's NLP-based AI. And when children or teenagers might encounter a problem that affects the way they're thinking, and this currently this level of problems or the amount of problems they're experiencing is unsurpassed because they're starting from family relations and academic pressure and social media and etc. etc. So they are extremely stressed, and that's what affects their mental health. So we have personalized learning journeys that actually recommends what kind of exercises, what kind of approaches, what kind of thinking they need to do. So we're using a lot of neuroscience to change how the brain actually thinks in order to change, for example, catastrophizing attitude into positive thinking. It's very personalized. So we're creating the space which is very personalized because the age group is quite large that we're dealing with. We obviously cannot mix the 7-year-olds with the 16-year-olds. That's why it's all personalized. They're all kind of in different streams there.
As a follow-up question to that, so I still am a little bit confused with the user experience. I understand that it's personalized, but because the competitors that you showcased earlier were social media platforms, for example.
Yeah.
So is it a community or is it more of
it's a community? Yeah. We are mixing, so to say, we're mixing social media with their psychology and with neurodevelopment. Yeah. So we are providing a mix right now, which is completely different. Research shows, and we conducted our own research and we collected a lot of desk research. Research shows that actually teenagers want to use social media. 38%, for example, right now of teenagers, they go online to look for answers for their problems. And that includes LGBT community, that includes teenage girls, that includes, you know, kids who are being bullied at school. They actually don't go to their parents. They try to look for to find solutions for their problems online. So right now what we're trying to do, we're trying to design a completely different space. Yes, sorry, finished.
Gaia, sorry, I'm really sorry. We're going to have to wrap up there. Give you the same amount of time as everybody else, but thank you very, very much. That's Kidzabout and Unforged, looking to supercharge children and teenagers via their social edutainment platform by empowering, energizing, and inspiring them. Now, last but definitely not least, we have U2 Tuition.
Hi there, just a moment as I start my video. Oh, I think it says the host has stopped it.
We can certainly hear you, but
there we go. Okay, perfect.
Now
Hi.
we see you.
So first of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and we're really excited to share our story. My name is Cami Goodman. I'm the co-founder of U2 Tuition, which is based in London in the UK. So let me just share my screen, one moment. Okay, can you see that okay?
Can.
Okay, wonderful. So a little bit about us. We're a sister duo with a strong desire to disrupt the education sector by harnessing the very best of educational technology alongside a really high quality tuition service. So in terms of problems that we tackle, we're founded at the back end of 2018. U2 was born out of a desire to enhance our current educational process. Bright students all too often fall through the cracks in our current system, which is very much based on examination achievement. And social barriers are also prevalent. So women only make up 14.4% of all people working in STEM. And these are statistics we're really looking to change. COVID-19 has propelled EdTech forward, and yet tuition companies across the UK fail to keep up. And many are old-fashioned in their approach. They either cater to an elite student body or a too mass market and lack tutor quality. And so our value proposition is this. It works threefold. So our courses and programs supporting students from late primary through to university have been curated alongside our team of over 700 Oxbridge graduates, each chosen for their involvement in cutting edge research or employment at firms such as Google, NASA, or the UN Sustainable Development Team. And we also have a unique co-curricular focus, which we'll go into shortly. Thirdly, we combine the very best in EdTech. So whether that may be online whiteboards, online student portals to track progress by subject, or our digital learning experiences, we combine these with a high quality tuition service to facilitate and enhance learning. So in terms of the product that we offer, we have two core offerings. So U2 Tuition is our tuition side. U2 is a leading provider of on-curriculum and university entrance, particularly Oxford entrance mentoring services. And students are matched with a primary academic mentor from Oxford or Cambridge for either one-on-one or group classes and events. And we achieve an impressive 82% cross-sell with our extracurricular online learning division, Minds Underground, reducing customer churn and the disintermediation prevalent in more traditional tuition businesses. Our specialist tuition programs are tailored towards each stop on students' academic journey. So U2 Tuition covers all on-curriculum based learning from 11+ through to degree level tuition. And as a female-led company, we see this as a real competitive advantage. Clients come to us because they believe we take on a nurturing role, and tuition is actually quite a male-dominated space. And to diversify and introduce some high-margin revenue streams, we also introduced a resource library with downloadable paid-for guides, particularly around university entrance. In terms of Minds Underground, we're a strong believer that supercurricular activities really enhance students' curiosity and understanding of on-curriculum concepts. And so we want to really reignite excitement in education. And this is what's really unique to us. So we have an all-interactive online platform with masterclasses and courses for young minds and also university applicants to explore exciting fields like coding and AI, sustainability, global economics. And we use a range of EdTech tools to create an engaging, inclusive, individualized experience. So for example, we recently hosted interactive engineering masterclasses with a robotics and AI design task with someone from the Oxford Robotics Institute. And what's also very unique to us is our virtual research experiences. So this is a kind of alternative to work experience where, for example, we got someone from Food Steps, a food sustainability company, to take a coding consultancy project with one of our students. We also host an online community for girls called the Caroline Club, which is named after Caroline Herschel, the great female astronomer. And through this, we run Code for Girls online workshops, science journal clubs, and debating run by the current manager of the UK debate team. And we're really keen on getting more girls into tech, more girls into boardrooms and leadership positions, and more girls into STEM subjects. In terms of our revenue trajectory, we've achieved revenue growth of an average 69% per quarter over the last 18 months. And we now work with around 19 schools and over 300 B2C clients. Given there are only 2 full-time employees, myself and my sister, we've also managed to maintain a low cost base. And even though exams were cancelled in June and associated one-on-one tuition was cancelled, the business continued to grow because of a move towards our extracurricular division, Minds Underground. In terms of where we see ourselves going, there's significant headroom for growth. The tuition UK and internationally, the market is huge. Online learning has increased accessibility. We have students all over the globe on both U2 and Minds Underground. And in terms of our future roadmap, we have both short-term and long-term growth plans. So short-term, we plan to work with more partnerships with schools and also educational consultants. We're also putting in a yearly subscription model for Minds Underground, providing access to pre-recorded and live content, and also launching a custom app in the long term with bookings, lesson reports, extracurricular events, all in one place, as well as a corporate offering whereby we'll utilize our expert network to offer our Oxford tutors for short-term specialist tasks. So that's
Camille, I'm afraid I'm going to have to stop you there. Do you want to finish?
We've just reached the end. So thank you for attending.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Over to the judges for the last time. Who doesn't want to grill this Oxford graduate or Cambridge graduate? Come on, Rhea, come on.
Actually, it was a very thorough pitch, so I also don't have a lot of questions, but actually, can you just explain a little bit? So the product itself is a after school type of platform. Is that correct? That's just the only thing that I was a little bit confused about. So is it a platform for people? Yeah. Is it an after school thing? Is it a replacement for certain school activities? Like, what is it? Who's the target audience?
Sure. So we have our tuition side, U2. This is just a kind of standard tuition company, but unique in terms of our team and the level of high quality tuition. But what's unique to us is our online learning platform, Minds Underground, which is kind of a full library of courses, extracurriculars to really supplement what students do at school. And that can be, any of these can be taken in the student's own time. So they'll sign up on the website. There's a whole library of masterclasses in all different course subjects and categories. So STEM, psychology, global economics, world literature, and they can purchase the particular masterclass on there. We then link them up to the tutor and they take that masterclass in their own time. And these are often taken kind of alongside our tuition program. So for example, someone applying to Oxford University, they really need to build an extracurricular profile. They go onto Minds Underground and they might take an online summer school. They might take a research experience or a masterclass. And these are all things they can mention on their personal statement and an interview. And so that's the kind of extracurricular supplements the on curriculum. We haven't really seen many others do this. They either do just the tuition side or one part of the extracurricular, so say coding or robotics, but not everything in one place.
I think that kind of leads into my next question. So thank you for the presentation. I think it was really good. My competition, or the thinking around the competition, is kind of where I came in. So how do you look at other kind of MOOC providers and say Coursera and those kind of players in comparison to your solution? Yeah.
So in terms of the current providers in the UK, kind of the main ones are either split into kind of all tuition. So competitors like Bonus Macfarlane, they're probably one of the largest in the UK, and they do mostly school entrance and university entrance and just GCSEs, A-levels generally, just on the tuition side. Ones like Oxbridge Applications, they do just Oxbridge entrance and they have all Oxbridge tutors. But in terms of the extracurricular, so as you mentioned, things like Coursera, they're more catered to kind of students either at university already looking to kind of supplement that. They're not really related to the tuition side. So we really emphasize how each individual masterclass or course will supplement the actual on-curriculum learning that the student's doing. I don't really think that a student who's at school at the moment is going to really go on to Coursera because it seems very unrelated to what they're doing. They're kind of lots of courses that are might be a nice thing to do, but none of them relate to the actual kind of steps in the educational journey of a student who's still at school.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Camille. A very good pitch. Could you please elaborate on how you produce the content for the master classes, because it sounds quite heavy in terms of content production, or how do you scale that over time?
Yeah, so we've been really lucky thus far in that we've created all of our courses and masterclasses with our team. So we have an extremely large team. It's now almost 800 Oxbridge graduates and Ivy League mentors, many of whom have done masters and PhDs in particular fields. And the people who we approach who take, for example, the research experiences, they're already on our team. So all we have to do, we use a kind of online software where all the tutors have their profiles, and all that we have to do is send out a broadcast and ask who wants to do a masterclass in their related field. They suggest a title, and we then go about putting that up on the website and offering them as the masterclass host. So it's all been very simple so far in terms of course creation. I think also in terms of our resources, we have a really unique kind of resource library where we also have those same team write kind of blog posts and articles, and also individualized resources to particular students when they input their interests in one of our things called Curious Minds on the Minds Underground platform. And that's all co-created with our team. So whilst we don't have any other full-time employees, we obviously are looking to change that when we go into kind of more long-term development of apps and things like that. But at the moment, we've been very lucky to have this really high profile team on board who we can just have do kind of odd things like the course creation.
Brilliant. We're going to have to wrap up now there, actually. Thank you very much. But Camille, actually, I have a question, if that's okay. I noticed you went to Oxford, your sister went to Cambridge. May I ask, do you have any other siblings, and have they mopped up Harvard and MIT and Sorbonne?
We do have
Just
another
out of
brother who's
curiosity.
currently.
He's where?
He's at Oxford currently in his last year.
Okay, just checking that. No, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Camille, for pitching YouTube tuition to us. So we've heard 9 fantastic pitches, but the time has come for the judges to retire and deliberate. A task, frankly, I do not envy. So we'll say goodbye to the judges now, but we'll keep a hold of the startups, because now is the chance for our audience to pose their questions. If you can do so here directly, that would be awesome, because then I can see them, or please post them on Facebook. That would be great. But we will say goodbye to Raphaëlle, Emelie, Elina, Rhea, as you undertake your daunting task. Thank you, and we'll see you in a little bit. Can you still all hear me? Can the audience still hear me? I think that's the important thing. 1 second. Elina, I can still see you. There we go. Can the startups still hear me? Anastasia, Gaia, Camille, can you all hear me? Okay, fantastic. I'm getting some messages. Now I'm just going to see what questions we have from the audience. I know we had some before for the judges, but I'm just checking to see. I know Randy Chi asked some questions for the judges, but we ran out of time, but we'll hopefully ask them later. Again, just asking the audience really to post their questions here on Facebook and also here directly on Zoom. But actually, I have a few questions if I can kick off. So, goodness, I don't even know where to start. 1 moment. I think Anastasia, let me start with you, because you're the first person I see here. What advice would you give others who want to start a business? I'm going to keep them quite simple questions for now. I'm sure the audience will have much more sophisticated ones. But so to repeat, what advice would you give others who want to start a business?
I actually think it's quite a challenging question, because I'm not sure. I consider ourselves like we're still baby startups, so I'm not sure if what we're doing is right. I'm just hope that what we're doing is right. But I would say if you feel passionate about something, you should definitely think and try your ideas. I would suggest starting with proper market research and seeing what's around. So just not to come in a situation when you're building something which is already on the market, and maybe clearly understanding what would differentiate you from competitors, or at least how you would love to stand out from others in time frame of maybe 2, 3, 5 years.
No, really great. So when you refer to proper market research, actually, so where did you go to find, which resources did you go to find this market research?
So one answer is quite straightforward. You need to start with Googling and some, most of the sensors will pop up and like in the first search lines. However, then I would say a lot is in this. I think in most industries, a lot is still discussed in the couloir. So if you are brave enough to just find out who's other industry leaders, just try reaching them out and requesting to have a small talk with you and understanding what's really doing, what are the trends. I think it is it's the best way to go in the field and start asking people who are already there.
Fantastic. And now we have Randy Chi asking a question. This one is for DeltaBlock. And the question is, are there any regulatory issues they have to address if entering markets in Asia?
Hi, yes.
Maria, I think that's one for you.
Yes, great. So that's actually a good question, but very long to answer. So let's say that in order to provide this service, we have to consider different regulatory frameworks from different countries, right? So every country we need to get in, we have to look at the regulation. In Asia, fortunately, we're not required to have specific licenses to provide the service because we can work as a prop trader, right? This means that we can work as any other market actor who owns money and wants to execute the trading, any trading strategy. So that's how it works. However, in Europe, for example, we have a specific regulation when it comes to liquidity provision, and we have something that is called a liquidity contract. So what we do here is we first have to apply for some licenses in order to provide the service. And in the rest of the countries, such as in the Asia Pacific, we can work on what is called the gray zone, right? So the way, I don't know if I should extend more in this question, but that's basically the answer.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Maria. I have a question for Celine, actually. Given it's within the healthcare and wellness industry, Apo Tech Care, just wondering, given it's COVID and a lot more emphasis has been on this particular industry, have there been any grants or sources of funding you've been able to benefit from?
Well, not yet. I would say the positive part of the COVID crisis for us is the huge acceleration of digitization of the healthcare system, and we had people that were reluctant to transformation of the healthcare before, and now they've been proven that yes, teleconsultation could be a good thing, that sharing your data with your doctors and with researchers could be a good thing. So this is actually the pros that COVID-19 has been bringing for us. The cons is that, for example, doctors for us could be our prescriptors, right? Because the app is used by patients, but it really helps the consultation. So it helps the doctors in understanding well what's happening with the patient. So we were really considering before COVID-19 going around and meet the major neurologists in France and in Europe, and it's not going to be really possible right now. So we have to find another way to reach them out. But honestly, as we are early stage, we have not really looked into the COVID-19 grant right now, but that's something that we might consider in the future.
Fantastic. Thank you, Celine. And now for Filmdoo, we have a question. What is the cost of acquisition to acquire a user, and what is the retention rate?
Yes, so I have to say there's actually two different business models. Like we have the original movie streaming platform, which is just the pay-per-view. So the cost of acquisition for that is relatively different because it's more on the B2C side. So it's anything from 30 to 40 cents per user, especially if we do paid ads or anything like that. But if it's on the B2B side, which is institutional, it's anything around 70 pence to $1, and that obviously decreases over time as we scale to 30 or 40 cents per user over time. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Next question we have is for Data Duopoly, Tanvi. Do you think the pandemic has accelerated the growth and receptiveness of your business?
Yes, I think certainly that's a really interesting question. And for us, it's actually something that where our clients are actually finding they're reassessing their digital strategy at this time of great uncertainty. So
Tanvi,
yeah.
Can I get you to speak a little louder? Because your answer is
sorry.
fantastic. We just can't hear all of it. Just a little bit. Thank you.
Do apologize. So yes, that's a really interesting question. For us, actually, we found a lot of our clients are reassessing their digital strategy at this time of great uncertainty. So it certainly presents an opportunity for us to actually think, okay, that was what you did in the past, but how can you actually improve the visitor experience? So for us, it's giving a whole new dimension for Explore product range. And I think as a startup for us, it's being agile and being able to respond to industry events that's keeping us ahead of the curve.
That's great. I think we can actually pose the same question to Gaia, actually. Kidzabout, do you also think the pandemic has accelerated receptiveness really to your business?
The statistics, the mental health statistics became a lot worse, obviously, during the pandemic. And a lot of doctors, like, for example, I'm constantly talking to psychologists, and psychologists are saying they've never worked in their life as much as they're working right now. So the mental health statistics is plummeting. And that's everything really. The PTSD levels are increasing. And I think it's actually going probably to get even worse next year. So before it actually gets any better. So yes, absolutely so, yeah.
Given you can't meet everyone, which is obviously an issue, well, definitely we have to readjust to this new normal, right? How are you leveraging that? Clearly the receptiveness is there, resistance is down, people are open to it because they're experiencing it, or at least can see their children and their family members and even colleagues around them, you know, experiencing anxiety, isolation, loneliness. How are you able to, given that we can't go out and meet that many people, how are you able to leverage that?
Yes, that actually increases the stress that is on the children right now. And because we're interviewing and speaking a lot with parents as well. And parents right now are so frustrated, they can do absolutely anything to get their children off, for example, TikTok. And the damage of TikTok as well. That
I have a daughter.
60 seconds loop for the brain, and it's actually a lot more damaging for children than for adults, because adults are actually their brain is working slightly differently, but for children this 60 seconds loop is creating actually a very dangerous experience, because the brain is learning not to accept a lot of information which is longer than 60 seconds. However, for their development going forward and achieving and actually sticking and generating results, it's extremely damaging. So for parents right now, the situation is anything but just not TikTok, anything with value. So this thing of actually having something online which delivers value increased dramatically.
Yes, no, thank you very, very much. The next question we have is for Elina of Galactica Biotech. Given that biotech is predominantly, at least perceived to be, a male-dominated industry, what barriers have you had to overcome?
I think
what barriers can you share?
Yeah. As a woman, I always was feeling myself very confident in any sphere I was interested in, and I think I'm a very lucky person to be surrounded by people, and especially in this case of you, or in this point of view, I would say by men who really respect people, who are smart, who are willing to achieve the goals. And in this case, I think that it's very important to be surrounded by people who like that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And my baby.
No, don't be sorry. We can hear you.
A lot of
it's
support,
all good.
Yeah. A lot of support, actually, so no challenges, and I'm lucky in that. And I think this helps to be an example. So the challenge for me now is another story, to be example for other women who can be inspired by that, and who can prove that they can bring value to the world. That's the challenge. Yeah. In this case, we need to think how to unite to show our examples. For example, creation of such company as we do.
No, absolutely. That's why we're here, sharing knowledge, and being those community support kind of pillars for each other.
Sorry, and just one additional thing is we are moms. That we are moms. And only one thing to combine this. It's a real challenge for us sometimes.
I agree. I'm a single mom. My daughter's downstairs. So I hear you.
I've got twins.
I'm sure it resonates with many people actually listening.
Yeah.
Okay, you win. I only have one. I do actually have one more question that we've been posed for you, if that's okay for you to take it. Let me just pull it back up. Goodness, we're getting quite a lot of questions coming through now. Do keep them coming. So again, for you, Elina, your current point of difference from your competitors is deep learning. However, what would happen if your competitors also start to incorporate deep learning into their processes? What then will be the difference that makes the difference?
I think, as in any business, the most important thing is never stop in bringing the perfections to what you do. And in Galactica Biotech, we really non-stop working on making our platform better. So I think, as in any business, in this business, we always fight for accuracy in this case and for time. So I think as those are advantages of our competitive advantages of our business, we will be progressing, and to avoid such things, to become the leaders of the market, we will be improving our program and developing our set of experts and expertise in this case.
Great. Okay, we're going to leave you be. Thank you so much for accommodating our questions.
Thank you.
Well, from one baby to another, I'm going to go over to Rachel of Equilo, if she's able to take a question. And just wondering again, what barriers have you had to overcome? And I'm just going to say, you'll notice here in the, oh goodness, the rain is starting. We are in London, we are in the UK, so it was bound to rain at some point. So I apologize if there's any noise. So yes, Rachel, did you hear the question?
It's about barriers to getting started.
Yeah, to getting started, and maybe again, has there been any change? Share a little bit about your journey as to the receptiveness. Has resistance gone down? Tell us a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, it's been quite, I think, as any startup journey goes. My co-founder and I, we know each other from the US, but she's based in Zambia and I'm here in Amsterdam. So we're the same time zone, but you know, far apart, and our team is virtual. So that's been very interesting. I guess, unlike some other companies, the way we operate hasn't changed due to the pandemic or anything like that, because we've always been virtual. So that's been nice. But yeah, with lives going on, and she's got 5 kids, I just have the 2. So barriers, I think, between trying to find the time, we're self-funded. So we both, up until about 6 months ago, had full-time jobs on top of putting full-time into Equilo. And I think that speaks to, I guess, some of the challenges women face. I mean, we both, basically we're required to have very supportive partners. I don't know how you do it otherwise to juggle, to be able to fund yourself and sort of work 2 jobs, wear 2 hats. We're happy to now be in a place to be able to be fully committed just to Equilo. And in terms of the reach out, though, it was required to sort of stay in the game and get the uptake. We've had some resistance at first. People, you know, wanted to see the platform before they wanted to purchase it, understandably. But we are not a tech company, or tech people ourselves. We had to bring in some tech people and went through about 3 or 4 till we found the right person to build the platform. So it sort of like takes the money to make the money kind of thing. And that was a big barrier that we had to invest a lot up front. Now that it's finally up and running and live, we've got the customers coming in. But I think that makes it difficult for any entrepreneur, but specifically for women with their access to funding.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Over to Camille of U2 Tuition, actually. Really wanted to understand your journey a little bit more, how it started again, and the positive traction that you've been getting so far, and anything you would have changed differently. Just so, yeah, share with us a little bit about those things.
Sure. So I actually worked as a tutor myself for around 10 years. So throughout the later stages of secondary education, and then all the way throughout university and beyond that. I worked with around 10 different tuition agencies, my sister's similar. And from there, we kind of saw lots of gaps. We thought that, you know, lots of the ways in which some of the tuition companies operate are still quite old-fashioned. They don't really take very much part in actually doing anything for the student aside from just introducing them to the tutor. So we take a more kind of holistic approach. We founded U2 around the end of 2018 and wanted to kind of solve lots of those problems. So it started off just with the U2 tuition side. And then as we saw loads of students become very interested in some of the extracurricular offerings we were doing just on the side, we decided to develop a whole online platform dedicated to it. So we introduced Minds Underground around in 2019. And it's been growing extremely fast since then. And we've seen that kind of cross-sell. So that's the kind of journey of the company.
Cool. Now, I think, I don't think we've got much time left, but I would like to pose a question, but to all of you, actually, really more of a conversation to understand whether it's been harder trying to fundraise this year, and whether appetite the sort of VC appetite you've seen has been reduced, and whether they've kind of push back at your valuations. Given that I'm speaking to you already, Camille, could we start with you? So really about, have you been trying to fundraise this year, I guess is my first question.
So we haven't quite yet. So as of yet, we've just been self-funded. We've had very limited kind of startup costs, and we're now in the next phase where we're probably going to be looking for investment, but we haven't actually started that process yet. So we'll see. But I think because education is obviously at the forefront of people's minds with the COVID pandemic and all the problems that has caused and the big move to online learning, hopefully we would see investors be interested.
Right. Anastasia from Haut AI, have you noticed that VC appetite has reduced this year?
It's quite difficult to say. I think there was kind of decrease of maybe pace in the beginning of second quarter. Then the pandemic was going wild, but I think starting from August, the communication has pretty much came to normal. So I think it was some first reaction, and now I have a feeling, but it feels all right. But of course, I cannot say about other industries that could be better, like worse impacted by COVID.
Cool. Verada, what about you? Have you been trying to fundraise this year? And has there been any pushback on your valuation?
Yes, I think less of the evaluation. Actually, what kicked us off our fundraise this year is we were actually awarded a $500,000 grant from the Creative Europe Media Program, which is
Sorry, Verada, we can't see you. We can't see you. You might want to turn on your video.
Yes. So
Fantastic.
I said,
there we go.
We were actually awarded a $500,000 grant from the European government earlier this year for the edutainment platform. So consequently, this kicked off the fundraising, because how a lot of these European grants work is that you have to make the expenses first, put in the invoices and claim the reimbursement. So that was what kicked off the fundraising. But actually, I'll be honest, it has been harder, even with a $500,000 grant already upfront, completely reimbursable. And simply, I think with COVID, what we've seen is I think a lot of investors are preferring to focus on their portfolio companies. A lot of the companies they are obviously going through difficult times. They absolutely said, they love what we're doing, but can we touch base in a few months? They obviously have a lot of current companies that they have to focus on. So that's been my experience, is that it's not a no, but they obviously have to focus on other companies they're already working with, etc. But with regards to valuation, that is not something I have personally seen from my company. Yeah.
Celine, did you want to add any thoughts to that? Celine from Apo Tech?
I will actually have the exact same answer as Camille told earlier, because we are in a very early stage and we were self-funded so far, but we are reaching the point where we might really consider having investors. And yeah, I hope, as education is at the forefront, healthcare as well, so I hope we'll have positive answers from investors, but cannot really answer. Sorry, not tried yet.
No, but all answers are valid, right? We're here to just to chat and sort of share, as I say, knowledge and learnings, for example. I have a question though, actually. Have we noticed that a lot of the VCs that we pitch to, I mean, I've also had to pitch before, are still mostly men? I mean, obviously things are improving. Do you, given that some of you have male co-founders, so there's a couple of questions in there. One is, do you feel that pitching to men and women, male and female VCs are slightly different? And if so, if you're pitching to a male, do you sometimes roll out your male co-founder to do the pitching? And if I could ask actually Maria Setter from, is it DeltaBlock?
Yes. So that's an interesting question. I have a co-founder, he's a male. And it's not that he will lead the conversation when there's a man. And we had some conversations when they asked different questions to the founders. For instance, where he has been asked about his studies, etc. I have been asked about my family, for example. So that differentiation still happens, even though it's not the majority. And of course, we have this commitment. We know that we don't want those kind of funds, and not those kind of people leading our funds either. So we know that there's a minority, but we know also there's a lot of things to be done in the space, mostly in the fintech and capital market space. So yes, that's my experience. as a conclusion, yes, I see that there is a difference when he pitches versus when I do, and the questions that he receives are slightly different to the one that I receive. But nowadays, I believe in the majority of the cases, I must say that there's more conscience about what should be asked and what shouldn't. Yes, and I believe we've all learned to answer freely this, right? So we won't just keep quiet and not say anything.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. And I think probably we need a little bit more time, but sadly we have run out. I think that was fantastic to have this conversation with you all, but the judges have now come back in and we're going to politely ask you all to put your cameras on so we can take a picture of all of us here, judges, startups. Cindy will be taking the photo. So I think Cindy will give me the cue when that is done. Oh goodness, they're beginning to come back in. Apologies. I think there's a few technical issues. They're beginning to come back in. Does anyone else want to jump in though, regarding that, whether they've rolled out their male co-founders when it's been a male VC they're pitching to? Does anyone else want to jump in there?
Can I speak from experience? This is Rhea from Filmdoo.
Yes, please.
I actually had the male co-founder saying they should be the one pitching. So it actually came from within the team. And I went through quite a big reclaiming my voice this year. That's why I was very glad to apply. In the beginning, I guess I expected, and I think the nature of the dynamic is that, the male co-founder would do more of the fundraising, the higher profile, the business negotiation, and that was the dynamic of the team. Even though Filmdoo was my idea, I was the one who brought him down, but it was just said it would be easier. But actually, I went through a lot of experiences, soul searching, and I've come to realize that, you can reclaim your voice, and that, as a female founder, you can, speak directly to male investors, male fund, and you shouldn't be scared of them. It's your own story. Even if you do things differently, you have a voice, and use that. And that's something that I've learned, and I'm looking to take forward, and I would like to share with other female founders as well.
Would anyone else like to answer that? Share their experiences.
So myself, Tanvi from Data Duopoly. So we're in quite an interesting situation because we're an all-female founded company. And I think for us, a lot of people almost think, where are the rest of your co-founders? And for us, that's it. We've achieved this by ourselves. But I think the one thing we always focus on, we want the top talent, irrespective of gender. And I think if that sort of mentality came back to tech and was sort of, in the outlook for all startups and all tech companies, that would be just great for the industry. Just focus on the skill set.
Fantastic. Well, look, I've been informed the judges are coming back in now. So can I get you once again to make sure your cameras are turned on so we can all do this group shot to capture this moment before we find out who are the winners of the UK-France heat today. I await instructions.
Maybe I'll take the photo if everyone's back. I think everyone's back. Maybe I can ask the rest of the startups. I think everyone has it on. So maybe on the count of 3, everyone can give your best smiles, and then I'll take a quick shot. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I took like 3 shots, and we'll share that with everyone after today's event as well. Back to you, Mila.
Great. Well, I believe the deliberation's over, and I think I'm handing over to Raphaëlle to announce who's in 3rd place. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm very happy to announce that Equilo came in 3rd place for She Loves Tech virtual pitch competition. So congratulations, Rachel. We all felt like you addressed an issue that is super important and yet disregarded today. So we all hope also that you will get more and more traction as this topic becomes more and more important.
That's fantastic. Well done. Well done, Rachel. Shall I hand over now to Emelie, who will announce who is in 2nd place?
Yes, and I'm sorry if there is a lot of background noise. I'll try to minimize it. Yes, so happy to announce the second place of this round, where we would like to offer to, which we would like to offer to you to Tuition, and the pitch by Camille, which we think was really good. It was a strong pitch with a very inspiring focus and a model that we believe is very current, and we believe can bring a lot of value to current and future students. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done, Camille. I did want to ask the judges, actually, was it quite challenging? Did you actually find it? I'm assuming it was quite challenging, or was it pretty unanimous in the?
I guess our top three
wanted
was
to be
the
first to take first place. Say that again, Elina.
Yeah, so I think it was quite challenging to make a final decision because we didn't have a similar top three. So that's basically just to say that you know, it's a contest, so we have to reward someone, but with the first prize. But we really felt like they were all really strong pitches addressing critical challenges, and that's also reflected on our scores, which were quite not the same. Yeah, so you all did a great job. And
yeah,
so,
I'm glad I was the host and could be neutral, because I got to say. So over to you, Elina, to announce who's got first place.
I'm super happy to announce the winner of this contest, who is Filmdoo with Verada. So congratulations. So you scored quite high for all of us. What we liked about what you do is we feel you have a very differentiated take on the edtech space with this smart model, so leveraging existing IP and content, and you've already reached some scale there. And we think you also have quite an interesting and smart distribution model across different channels that we think you could leverage and scale over time. So that really you know, for us sounds really promising. So congratulations for the milestones achieved to date.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Rhea, did you want to say a few words actually about how you found the process and some of the questions that you received?
Oh yes, no. First of all, yeah, I'm super. I really couldn't believe it. I'm really excited, and thank you for the opportunity. We are trying to do something different, combining both education, entertainment, obviously using underutilized films as well, and helping people to connect the world through film. Actually, there's a lot more. I didn't go into my pitch, which is, you know, we're really. The heart of what we do is really trying to break down barriers, connect the world, representing underrepresented stories, and to give them a voice. I think the questions were great, especially in you know, trying to understand how defensible the model is, what could be built, and how we differentiate, which I think is a differentiator to what we're doing to other competitors in the content edtech space. But thank you very much for this opportunity. Yeah.
Fantastic. Do the others want to say a few words? You too, Camille? Would you like to add anything? Well done again on winning this.
No, thank you so much. No, we're really excited as well to be a part of this. And I think it's so wonderful that it's women in technology as well. And generally, so lots of what we do is geared towards getting more girls into tech, STEM leadership positions. And I think something like this is really helpful as well. And we're really excited to see where our company is going to be going in the next few years. And this has definitely been a nice stepping stone on the way.
Fantastic. And then over to you, Rachel, before we start to wrap up.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you. It's been, yeah, great to participate. And I think half of my intro was basically taken by the She Loves Tech intro. So it was nice to see just how much we are truly aligned on the mission and value. And I think having this sort of platform to give women entrepreneurs the chance to share their ideas is a great start and a big step in the right direction.
Fantastic. Listen, congratulations to Equilo, you two, Tuition, and of course the winners of the UK and France round of the She Loves Tech Global Startup Competition, Filmdoo. We're looking forward to see how you do in the global competition next month on the 21st and 22nd of November. Please do us proud, I'm sure you all will. And I think it's time for us really to wrap up. A big thank you to our She Loves Tech organisers, partners, to our fabulous judges and startups pitching today and throughout the competition, and to you, our audience, our community, for supporting us and yourselves. Seize the opportunity of our new normal. And if you haven't entered the competition this time round, we really look forward to your future entry. That's it from me. I'm Myla Reeves, and it's been a pleasure being your host today. Thank you, stay safe, and good luck to India and Pakistan, the remaining rounds. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Myla. Thank you to all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.